At Red Barn, our pet food ingredients work overtime. They aren't just there for show. Dandelion greens work to maintain a healthy digestive system. Salmon oil works to enhance the immune system. Green-lipped mussels work to support joint health. These hard-working ingredients support your dog's active, healthy life. Look at the label. We want you to. Red Barn Naturals Pet Food. Simply the best. Find it in your local pet specialty store. Visit redbarninc.com/coupon to save $1 off your first can.
Blog Talk Radio.
Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Golden Truth Raw and Real, and this is Linda Summers.
Hello, greetings, everyone. Welcome to the show. This is Sharon Andrea. Welcome, welcome.
Yes, we love to have you here. Before I even announce the title of the show, I want to be sure that you all call in, please, with your questions or any experiences or anything you want to share. Please call in to area code 347-850-8423. If you are calling out of the country, please call 001-347-850-8423. And the topic today is surrender to self and God. So we're going to really be talking about what it means to surrender to self, what it means to surrender to God. So we're going to really kind of dive in with that and give you some tips on really how we can go about doing that as well.
Yes, it's so important for us to understand what it means to surrender to God. I was even mentioning to Linda that every week, you know, the Spirit just has us on topic with whatever is happening in the conscious energy. And so it's important to understand what it means to surrender to God, because this is about how we are really letting go, and how we can understand how we can let go and allow things to happen and unfold. But it comes with a price tag, not spending money, but it comes with something that a lot of the human race has sometimes difficulty is letting go of old stuff and judging, and also not trying to understand what's happening. And so sometimes it's like a mother to a child when you keep on talking and talking, and after a while you just have to do something, and this is what's happening with God. It's like, you know, something is happening, and it's happening, and it's time for everyone to understand that we are in the awakening, and it means waking up, and a part of that is surrendering. Mm-hmm.
Well, I want to say something too, that, you know, what comes up for me around this whole thing is about, you know, because I've been in this place of having to surrender in my life where, you know, I was wanting to control everything, right? I wanted to control. I was in my own way, and there came a point in time in my own life where I could not control the situation. It was beyond my control, but I still tried to control, and that's where I had to surrender and really just allow and let go. But I had to also get to my truth, you know? I had to get to the truth of what it was in order to let go of that control and allow God. It's like I had to move out of my way and allow God to come in, because for me, you know, I feel that God has a plan. He knows what's going on, and he's just waiting for us to get out of our way so he can come in and do the magic and miracles. But, you know, we're trying to control all the time, and, you know, we want to control the situation. You know, and there's that serenity prayer. I don't know it by heart, but it's about, you know, God, please grant me the
peace to understand, the wisdom to know, something like that.
Yeah, where the things I can control, the things I can't control, give me the wisdom to know the difference between the two, right?
Yes, that's right. That's right.
Absolutely. And it's tough. It's tough to surrender in moments that you're
Oh, yeah. But one of the things that happens when we don't surrender is that we're going to still keep seeing the same things showing up in our space over and over again. Anything that's repeated in your space and you're upset over it, or you feel like it's just not happening, because the universe is always talking to you, always, you know, trying to get your attention. And, you know, and it's also about listening, because I talk about sacred listening. There's, you know, I always say to my children sometimes, you know, God give you ears to hear, but it's about when you're listening. So now there's also something called sacred listening. And that means that you allow yourself to also receive the messages in so many ways, paying attention, and also letting go of the need to control. And it also means stepping out of your mind, getting out of your mind space, and really allowing the Holy Spirit to move through you, what to do next and what to do next. right?
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, all the listening thing, it's really interesting because when you talk about listening, it's like we can listen, but we can be present to listening.
Yes.
And that's what I think what I feel you're talking about sacred listening is really being present. You have to be in the now. You have to, as they call it, the monkey mind, right? You have to read. There's signs that we're given all the time, and you know that because you've been getting so many signs, right, in your life
all the time.
Different things. Exactly.
Yes.
So if we are in tune with wherever we're at in our life, and I look at everything, all situations, all experiences, whether we get fired from our job, our husband or wife leave us, there's a death, that everything behind that. There's a reason for that. And if we can shift our perspective and realize this is for our growth, this is for the evolution, for us to remember really who we are.
That's right. And another aspect of listening to Linda is like being conscious. See, it's like being conscious, and that's like where you're, when something is happening, I refer to it as through you, not to you, because when you say to me, you're victimizing yourself, and there are no victims out there, and that's the truth. So when something's happening through you, or if you find yourself being offended by something or someone, an event, or anyone that's in your life, just know that is something for you to look at. So I always go high with things first before I stay down low. I don't mean, when I say high, it means that let's look at it from a perspective here, from a higher perspective. And then when we go down low, then you can start cursing all you want, talking about it, because we are still human and divine at the same time. So, and I keep it real. So when you allow yourself to go high with it and see it for what it is, but if you keep on trying to ignore it, or you're trying to push it away, or you're criticizing and judging, you're going to still keep facing it over and over again, and that's a part of surrendering. And it's important to understand what that means for you, and also with what's happening right now on the planet. See? Well, and so what's happening now, too, is that there is a lot of things that most people might not even understand, that there's a lot of things happening now with all of us. We're all back in the beginning of time right now, all of us. And when I say we're back in the beginning of time, what do you mean? What do you mean? Meaning that we are in the past and into the present right now. All the experiences that we've had and the blocks that we have, the issues that we've had, people that we've had contact with in our past lives is all happening now, and we're having to face that. So we're all at that place where most of us are at a place of surrendering to God. This is the time to pay attention to what it means, and what it means for you, what it means for all of us. It is necessary. You were saying something, Linda.
Oh, yeah. Well, I was going to give an analogy, but then I want to go back to something else, too, that you just said about surrendering God. When you were talking about going high versus looking low and having a different perspective, I heard an analogy, and I feel that the listeners can also relate to this, too, and it may give them a better understanding or a better visual of what you were talking about, is when this guy was taking these people in the streets of New York City. They were walking down, the city, and you could hear the hustle and the bustle and the taxis and very loud and noisy, and things were happening. Then he took them on a huge high-rise. And he said, now, what is your perspective? Looking down. It was quiet. It was serene.
Yes.
It was very meditative. So it really gave him a different analogy as to, wow, when you're down here and you hear, it's like in your mind, right? When you're down in that lower vibration, there's a lot of stuff that's going on. But if you can raise your vibration, right, and see it from a different perspective, then things could be different. But I do want to go back to the surrender to God, because I feel that the listeners are probably wondering, well, how do I surrender to God? How do I surrender to myself? What does that really look like, And I think to give them an idea of what that looks like from both our perspectives, I feel, too, and also some tips as to how they can surrender to themselves and how they can surrender to God as well.
Well, one of the signs for me, how I know when it's time to surrender to God, is when I've tried everything humanly possible that I can do, even tuning in, okay? And I'm like, you know what? Okay, I surrender, I give up. Not give up into a sense of completely giving up, meaning that I truly surrender to the all there is, And that means I allow myself to be still, be still and know that I am God. I am God. I am Goddess. And that means that you're tuning into the higher aspect of yourself and you're tuning into the entire divine cosmos. Because if you limit yourself into thinking that surrendering to God is just one aspect, then, that's all you're going to get. And when you allow yourself, once again, to be still within yourself, it's not about being in a place where it's quiet, someplace, because you can still be still in all the noise and still receive the messages, because I do that. And when you allow that to happen, then the magic starts to happen. Then you start to see things start to shift and to change, because shift really happens when you allow yourself to be open and to surrendering and being humble with it, too, at the same time. Yes.
And be open to the possibility, absolutely. Well, I agree with all that, too, and I'll throw in as well, for me, what I've had to experience in that surrendering to self and God is the faith, the trust, being vulnerable, and listening, and really listening to myself and knowing my own intuition that, that there is a knowingness that there is this divine source that can actually make magic happen, because it's happened before. If I can remember that and go back and go, okay, when I surrendered, all of this happened, that there was no way it could have been possible. No way. I mean, there was no evidence of anything to be possible for that. And I realized, wow, like as soon as I surrendered to God, to myself and God, right? Because I feel that really we are made in the likely image of God, so we are that.
That's right.
That is everything. So and surrendering to myself, I'm surrendering to God, and so that that in itself, to be vulnerable. And I really want to talk about vulnerability, because to say, I had to be vulnerable. What does that look like? How do you get to that? We know, and I don't want to get into that conversation, but like we could, because it's really about what I was going to say is being vulnerable in relationship, right? But it's in the relationship with yourself. It's the relationship with God. It's being vulnerable enough to allow, to trust and know within your being that He's got your back.
Well, one of the things, too, with knowing, it starts from the child. And I say that because one of the things I also refer to in my book is follow the yellow brick road. Follow the yellow brick road. Follow the yellow brick road, and it's follow, because that yellow brick road is given as a story, even enough for a child to understand. When you're really truly listening and paying attention, and that's a part of being conscious. Paying attention, following the signs. Just like when I spoke about Linda, when I heard Wednesday, Linda, I knew it was you. Ding, 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 the bell goes off. And I have a sample of something as a child. I have a friend of mine, Christine, she does my hair. Her daughter wasn't feeling well today, today. And she said that she has pink eye, and something's going on at school tomorrow. So she said to her, well, I guess you just have to stay home. And her daughter acted funny, like, no, I'd rather go to school. So she thought something fishy is going on. So I said, no, she's just surrendering, and she's doing it so simple, like a child. So she's not up to anything. But this is what most adults do. They think that when something is as simple as it is, that something is going on, or there's, some trick here or something. But that is what surrendering is like also, like a child. The child is not thinking or concerned about the outcome. The child is okay with whatever is going to happen, right? And like being in a fantasy. So when you allow yourself to be like that child in a fantasy of surrendering, like, oh, that's okay, I don't care, I'm all right, that's it. You see? Fa la 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 la. That's what we're talking about, and that is a part of surrendering. But if you hold on so tight to how you want things to happen, if you feel that the outcome should be this way or that way, then you're really not allowing yourself to be in a place of surrendering and allowing anything to happen in any way whatsoever that the universe can bring for you. So that's an act of surrendering. So pay attention to your children or a child, and that'll give you an idea what surrendering means also.
Yes, children are the best teachers. And, too, when you hold on so tightly, what you were saying is that, it's like there's a limitation. Then you limit what's possible because, with God creating everything, He created everything in from the tiniest, minute thing to the largest grand thing. And every single thing on this planet has a purpose.
That's right.
you don't think for a minute that he could create something for you that is so magnificent that our minds couldn't even go to and imagine. So, that's another thing that I think, too, is that when we do that, we limit, but we also, if you think about that, if you hold on so tight, if you hold on tight to something, it constricts it. There's no room for expansion, right? So if we're holding on so tight, then there's no room for that expansion, that allowing of the unfoldment of the blooming and the flowering that can happen. And what comes to mind, too, when you talked about The Wizard of Oz, Follow the Yellow Brick Road, we talked about Alice in Wonderland. All of these stories have such, if you guys listening, everyone that's listening, if you can really look at those movies as a story and see really the power that it's showing us, right, of how we only have all the answers, but we have to go through, and there were signs all along the way, and people who guided them to get to where they are, but they had to go through those experiences as well as we have to go through all of these challenges and experiences for our evolution and growth.
Yes, and really Dorothy. Yes. As when I refer to Dorothy, as you know, lions and tigers and bears, and I refer to that so many times. And I was like, lions and tigers and bears, oh my. And all the time, all of the, what we call the hell that we go through, in the end, she said to Glenda, the good witch, well, why didn't you tell me that all I had to do was click my heels? And she said, because you weren't ready. You had to be ready to receive. So you also have to be ready to receive, and putting yourself in a place of being able to receive means that you're allowing yourself to become vulnerable. You are surrendering, and instead of trying to find out how you can, sometimes we have to allow it. It's almost like I've referred to being on the mountain, and you're going to just, fall, but you know that God is holding you and is catching you. And it can feel scary, of course. It can feel scary with a lot of things that we go through in life. But I always know, and I always tell my son, is that everything always works out. And there comes a time when we just have to just let go and surrender when you've tried everything. And you can't make it, to fake it till you make it. It just doesn't work that way. It has to come from within, where it's really coming from a space of truth and wisdom and faith, all of these things. And it really, truly becomes magical.
Well, it reminds me of that movie, Indiana Jones, where he's on the top of that building, and he has to make the choice of just dropping off that building, right, to wherever he's doing. I can't remember exactly, but he just had enough faith that he's like, well, I hope that there's a stuff that's gonna, something's gonna happen. And sure enough, every time he put his foot out, a step was brought to him. No matter where he went, a step was brought. So, that's really what we're saying too, is that, knowing and trusting, and it's very difficult to do that when you're in, because I know there's people that are listening and going, well, that's a hell of a lot easier said than done, because trust me, where I'm at right now, not me personally, but who's ever listening, well, you could say for me, really in a way that I am experiencing some things as well too, that is having enough faith and trust that my path is being revealed and going to be revealed as long as I stay true to Linda, to me, right? And stay true to myself and what is the truth for me, and as opposed to what everybody else thinks is the truth, what everybody else thinks that I should,
Well, I have another song, because I love referring to songs and children's stories when it comes to life, because it allows you to have the journey easier. And I think of the song by Olivia Newton-John, Magic. Have to believe in magic, Destiny will arrive. Bring all your dreams. Just words things, sometimes I forget the words, but you know what I mean. It's believing it. So because everything also happens according to your belief. It's when you know what you know, because you know. Even if you cannot see the entire staircase, you just know. You just know that it will work out. And then when you allow yourself to be peace, and I know in between the stuff, there's times you might be crying, you're on your knees, and you're up off your knees, you're cursing, you're this and that, and it's okay. That's a natural way to go through the stuff that you're going through. And then you can pick yourself up back together again, like Humpty Dumpty. I refer to that. And then, reach out if you can, if you're in that place within your mind to reach out to someone, because sometimes two heads are better than one, and that helps too. So you can think again, how do I work this out? And when you allow that to happen, because remember, like I said, God is always using others and situations and for you to get help when you're going through these times. And that is a part of surrendering also. Even if it's someone you say, well, I'm not going to call this one because, pride. No,
absolutely.
That's not going to help you.
We have a caller from area code 514. Hi and welcome. Did you have a question for us? Or do you want to just listen?
Hi, it's Celine. How are you?
Well, hello, sweet Celine.
How are you? Thank you for joining. Oh, you're such a doll. Thank you.
I'm just calling because I wanted to add that I don't really have a question. I think you ladies are amazing. You've got this covered. I just thought of something about the following the yellow brick road. Yes. When we follow the yellow brick road, what you mean is like following our bliss, right?
No, following the signs, following all the signs that you receive from the universe every step of the way.
Okay, I agree.
Because as she went on the yellow brick road, brick road, remember she was coming into the different characters, right? The lion, the Tin Man, who were all part of this whole journey of hers.
Right. But it's also following in our excitements because I've seen I've read at different courses and books that I read, and also I started practicing it also, following the excitements, the true excitements, not something that helps to avoid or something that you don't want to face, but following the true excitement that we have, our passions or whatever, helps us guide us in the right direction, I find. If I compare it to my past, I've seen that that's where it helped me move forward. But also what I wanted to mention is, when you were talking about the little girl having pink eye, you're right. When we, that would be like when we, allow circumstances to define what we should do or where we're, what we should do or not do. That's what blocks us and that's what trips us because circumstances are created from our past thoughts. Right?
Well, another thing too,
we keep on creating nonstop.
Well, another thing too, to add to the part where the childlike energy comes from. I have 5 children, so I just like children. I just know how children are within themselves, and even if a child is sick, do you think sometimes it matters to them when they're sick that they're going to go play? There's always just it's an automatic feeling of knowing that things are always magical for them, always happening
and
for them.
Everything is going to work out,
all the time. They're just in their own zone, like it doesn't matter. You see, and that's what we're talking about when it comes to following those signs. And when I think of that energy of fun, it's like skipping in your garden and say, "Oh, look at this! I found a lollipop. Oh, look at this! I found this. Oh, look at this!" And they're not paying attention to any worries to what's happening around them. Yes.
Yeah, that's what I meant by not following the going according to the circumstances. Like they're not stopping for themselves because they got sick or they got a pink eye or because they got a bobo or whatever it is. They keep on going no matter what. That's what we need to learn from.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, and that's why I talk about paying attention to your children because they have all the answers. It doesn't matter what age they are. And it's so simple. And it may not seem so because we're so programmed into the circumstances of what we're experiencing that we hold on to it so much, like we own it. Yeah.
I just saw this post today, which is so beautiful. We're talking about this because I saw this post today from another gal that she had ended up having surgery, and then 3 weeks, I guess she'd been into her surgery. After her next surgery, her husband had an accident and he got hurt, right? And so the daughter, I guess the mom was saying, "Oh my gosh, the both of us have been injured." And she said, "Yeah, but do you know that this had to happen for I can't remember exactly, but it was like the daughter was teaching them, right? About because she was saying how grateful she was at all these people, and how happy she was that all these people were helping her out and really coming to her rescue with both of them being down and, going through all these surgeries. So kids are such great teachers for us.
Yes.
You know,
Oh,
and
yeah.
if we're really paying attention and listening to them, and I think with kids, that's what they want. They want to be heard, right? Because they have so much to teach us. Absolutely.
Yes. It's really, really incredible. You know, it's because even just being around a child is magical, and it takes your focus off of, you know, the issues. And it's like really dancing and seeing the rainbows in the cloud.
Yeah, and that's why it's so important to encourage them to keep on going like that, to keep on going the way they're going.
And that's why you encourage yourself.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, it just takes really the parents, right? It takes the parents to become into an awareness of how they are being with the children. You know what I mean? Like, how are they being? Because I feel like today that we get so caught up as parents that we're both working and the kids are being forgotten about or whatever, you know, and we're just allowing them, not all parents, you know, I'm not saying all parents, but for the most part, you know, as time goes, because I know when my parents were growing up, my mom was home and, you know, and I tried to stay home. Well, I pretty much did with my kids while they were, I was there for them when they left for school, when they came home, and then, you know, during that other time when they were in school, I was doing other things or helping out. But it really is to be so conscious, right? We talk about conscious living, to be so conscious of how am I being with my children? Am I allowing them to be an expression of themselves? Am I allowing them to speak and be able to say, this is what I like, this is what I don't like? Not that we have to agree with that, but allowing them to have this voice.
For sure.
And being attentive to how they're being.
Oh yeah. And there's always something about children that also teaches us the humility also, and with the surrendering. And you know what it does too for you? It gives you an ultimate sense of freedom, and that's what children represent: freedom. Because that child within you is what desires to be free again, because you remember that from before you came here. You know, so it's coming back into that childlike state. Also is a part of surrendering, and that's why God wants us to come back to that pure state, just like a child. Remember when I spoke about my grandson, you know, when I was facing all these issues, and I looked at him, and what was so important to me was just enjoying just his pleasant smile looking at me waking up in the morning, and it's like it just melted away. Isn't that the part of the Wicked Witch? The Wicked Witch is dead, you know? Yeah. Just melted away that part of myself that I didn't have to, you know, be wrapped around it so much anymore. So
absolutely.
Yes. So,
well, I agree. It's connecting with the purity of the child, the purity of your feelings, the purity of your heart.
Absolutely.
I agree. Yes, it does.
Yeah.
That's a part of the surrendering, because that's what I realized. That's what I ended up doing for myself, and it's a great, you know. It's not as hard as we think it is. It may seem as if it is, but it's not really as hard as we may think when we truly surrender.
Well, and you know, when you talk about that surrendering too, when we were talking about vulnerability earlier, you know, there comes a time when we have to become so vulnerable that we ask.
Yes.
We're so afraid to ask because we're afraid to let other people know what's really happening in our life, right? I mean, I've been myself before.
Yes.
And it's in that asking, because when you ask or when you seek out, you know, that there will be people who will come and who will help. You know, you may have to do a lot of work here and there, but we just need to ask, and that's part of the vulnerability of allowing to be so transparent that we really are. We're basically transparent, you know, that we're allowing people to see the truth and the realness of who we are. And I feel in that moment that I feel people really come to that, you know, and they can really see the vulnerability, because if we're not vulnerable, we're trying to constrict and hold on and not asking, then we're not surrendering to that process.
That's
you know?
right. That's right. And I talk about the fact that, you know, on the other side, you know, remember what I said, what the other side is that everything is in the open. And where we're coming back to in the new earth is everything is in the open. The only thing that's going to be really secretive or is a secret is the act of making love, the sacred love. That's it. So there's no reason to hide. And that's a part of the huge part of surrendering what we're all going through right now, truly.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we're just about out of time, but so just to really kind of reiterate, really the tips on being able to surrender to self and God is really knowing your truth, letting go of control, trusting, surrendering, knowing that God has a plan, being vulnerable, trusting your own intuition, forgiveness. We didn't really tap on forgiveness. That's huge. Being grateful. These are really tips, and thank you, Celine, for calling in and sharing your wealth of wisdom and what your gift, and bringing that to the show. Thank you.
Yes, love you much.
Thank you for accepting my call, and thank you for the show you're doing. It's beautiful. Have a great evening.
Thank you. You too, my love.
Love you both.
Love you too.
Love you both. Love you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Yeah, so, that's really, we're here for all of you that are really listening in. And, if you really have a question or really want to talk to us, you can email us at The Golden Truth Raw and Real, and that's raw, N as in Nancy, real, RAL, @gmail.com. So, thank you for all tuning in today. We really appreciate it, and thank you, Celine, for calling in. It was wonderful.
Yes, thank you so much, for tuning in.
Yeah, absolutely. And so thank you for all the listeners who joined us today, the ones who joined us via YouTube. We thank you so much, and please don't forget to follow, subscribe, comment, and like us on Facebook, The Golden Truth Raw and Real. You can also find us on our YouTube channel, The Golden Truth Raw and Real. And again, our email address is thegoldentruthdrawandreal@gmail.com, and we'll have all this information on our video. And so we thank you again so much.
Yes, blessings.
Blessings. We love you all. Bye.
Bye.
Ace is the place with the helpful hardware, folks.
I was afraid my grill wasn't going to make it through the summer.
Frank needed a new grill, so I showed him our entire line, including the Weber Genesis and Spirit lines.
Ace is the place that brings you the best names in grills. Literally brings it to your house after we assemble it for you.
Now through Memorial Day, get free assembly and delivery when you buy any grill $3.99 and up, including Weber. Offer valid through May 30th. Free local assembly and delivery must be scheduled with participating Ace stores. Store stock only. See store for details.
The cool thing about turning 13 is watching PG-13 movies with the new Contour from Cox. I can search by movie quote, I am Batman. Except I can't go out past 9:30. By genre, chick flicks. What? They're educational. I can even search by title, Independence Day. That thing's older than I am. Is that a chest hair? No, just an eyelash.
The new Contour, TV reinvented just for you. Click the banner to learn more.